Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last online class for today. I'm James. We're going to be talking about creative writing today. Corey was going to be running this class. He couldn't make it for this slot, so he asked me to jump in and fill in for him, and I was happy to say yes. Corey and I have been friends for I don't know, a long time now, over 10 years, close to 15 years. And we've been talking about writing together and working on writing different projects over that entire period of time. So I'm happy to jump in and pick up where he left off. I know that the other day he was talking about how to start a story, how to get things rolling, how to get everything started. And that can be, for me, sometimes the most difficult thing. How do you even begin? Do you start with a kind of a cliche, you've heard it 100 times, it was a dark and stormy night, and go from there? Or do you try to think of something, some awesome opening line? It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Or something more normal, hello, said the unknown voice on the phone. So now that the story has been started, now that you've been pushed out the door and pushed into an adventure, into a world, you now need to do stuff in that world. Characters doing things is plot. A plot could be really complicated. It could be really, you go through Star Wars and there's a lot of layers of things happening, and the more you look at it, the more there is. There's other stories where the plot is very simple, boy meets girl, boy likes girl, conversation happens, simple plot. But that's okay. Characters doing stuff is your plot. So today I want to talk about characters. I want to take some time to get to know some characters, or to give you some tools so that you can spend some time to develop characters for yourself and use them in your stories in a variety of ways. Let me pop into the Q&A section here. Yes. All right. A bunch of people saying hello to me, and where is Corey? He's just not able to make it to this class, so I was happy to jump in. So Gerard is asking, how do you start a plot and end a plot? Yes. So here's the trick of it. If you think of it in a different way, the plot has always been happening, and you're just showing up to record a part of the story. A story will oftentimes take on its own life, its own animation, and you just happen to be lucky enough to be there to notice it. I'm going to start off with some quotes that I found that talk about writing, specifically when it comes to characters. Developing interesting characters is what I'm calling today. And I hope that we can find some interesting characters. If we develop a character that isn't interesting, that's okay. That's totally okay. You might find that that character doesn't have a place in the story that you're writing. That character does not have a place in Corey's story, where the main character, any food that they cook and feed to other people gives them superpower. Maybe there's a character about the mailman that doesn't have a place in that story. But in another story, that character could be a great fit. I have done that where I've made a character for one story. They don't fit. I'm like, whoa, that's useless here. And I took that character, I kind of parked them, didn't include them in the story. And then years later, was writing a story about, kids with superpowers. And I was like, oh, actually, this character would be really good in here. And something interesting happened. So here's a few quotes. This first one is from Joss Whedon, who is an outstanding writer, outstanding director. He directed the first Avengers movie. He says, you take people, you put them on a journey, you give them peril, you find out who they really are. We've probably seen this in movies. You have a character who seems kind of normal. Take Luke Skywalker. Let's go with Star Wars. It's an example I'm very familiar with, and I hope that a lot of you are. Luke is a whiny guy. He has jobs at home that he doesn't like to do. He whines about it. He wants to go hang out with his friends. On the surface, that is not an interesting character at all to me. And he really gets on my nerves at the beginning of every time I watch Star Wars Episode 4. He's just whiny. But then you put him in peril. You know, his family is killed by the Empire. He's swept off by this mysterious Jedi who takes him out into the wider universe. He's put into peril, and you learn more about Luke and who he is. Glenn Keane says, believe in your character, animate or write with sincerity. Glenn Keane was an animator, but he's saying you need to believe that your character is real, basically. When I write, I try to get myself to think like, this is not a made up character. This is a real person that I happen to be documenting their actions. If you don't believe in your character, no one else will. Think back to Luke Skywalker. I believe in Luke Skywalker as a real character. I can totally believe someone like him having actually existed. All right, William Faulkner says, it begins with a character usually, and once he stands up on his feet and begins to move, all I can do is trot along behind him with a paper and pencil, trying to keep up long enough to put down what he says and does. That feels familiar to me. That feels familiar to how my writing process is. That's not the same for everyone, but that's how it is for me, and that's how it is for William Faulkner. Sometimes I start and a character doesn't stand up, doesn't walk, doesn't go anywhere, doesn't do anything. I'm like, come on, do something. Sometimes not. That's fine. It's a magical moment the first time that happens to you in your writing. When a character does something, what are they doing? I did not expect that from the person that I created. Here's a few more. Shannon Alder says, never annoy an inspirational author or you will become the poison in her pen and the villain in every one of her books. I have been guilty of this. Not that I would call myself an inspirational author, but I enjoy writing. I am inspired to write, so there we go. And someone annoyed me one day. It was after a football game. My team had lost to their team. They weren't being very kind about it. I took that person, I made them a character in one of my books in the next story that I wrote, and they were like the bad guy. It was really satisfying. So you're totally welcome to borrow from real life. Take someone that you know. Take yourself. Take your brother, sister, friend, enemy, someone that annoyed you after a football game, and put them in a story and see how they react. Be kind to them. I wasn't really mean to him in my story, but it was useful to take an existing person that I had some strong emotions about. I was angry with him, and to use that. Don Roth says, if you treat your characters like people, they'll reward you by being fully developed individuals. Jorge Luis Borges, I hope I'm saying his name right, disagreed with Don Roth and said, many of the characters are fools and they're always playing tricks on me and treating me badly. So here we have two different ways of looking at a character in a story that has taken on a life of their own. And Don says they'll reward you. They'll become fully developed. They'll become interesting and have their own lives and stories that you get to document. And George's it's like, they're really mean to me, my characters. They're always doing stuff that I don't expect. So obviously for both of those authors, they were experiencing characters that had their own life. Hopefully we can start to develop some characters like that today. Okay. Good. Great. So I am going to borrow some material from the NaNoWriMo blog. If you've attended some of our writing classes in the past, either from me or from Corey, we've talked about NaNoWriMo, which is short for National Novel Writing Month, which is, it's an organization and an activity where the challenge is to, in the month of November, in those 30 days, to write a book in those 30 days. It's tough. I've tried every year for the last 14 years and I've succeeded 4 times, I think. All the other times I've written a bunch, but not an entire story. That's okay. 1 word written is more than 0 words written. They have a lot of resources on their website, including a blog, and this is from a post on that blog called The Official NaNoWriMo Character Questionnaire. We are going to start with a blank piece of paper, either for real or in our mind. We're going to create a character from nothing. Now, you can use this to, I mean, the first many stories that I wrote, I didn't create original characters. The first stories I wrote were real people that I knew in a story that I was writing. I used myself and my brother and my mom and my dad as the characters because I didn't have to create a character. I didn't have to make anything up. They were real people, and I could just think, what would my brother do if I put him in this situation? What if I put my brother on a bike as it's racing down a hill and he has to, he's heading towards a river and he's about to crash? That's an exciting moment there. I don't need to make up a character. I know who my brother is and what he would do, and I can just write that. It's like the one guy said back here. Oh, let me go back. Click, click, click. All I can do is trot along with paper and pencil and try to keep up. So that was easy for me to do with someone that I knew. Another step is fan fiction. Take an existing thing, an existing story that someone else wrote, and borrow their characters, borrow their setting, borrow their story, and write your own version of that. Some of my first stuff was Star Wars fan fiction. I don't need to invent Luke or the Jedi or Darth Vader or anything like that. I can borrow those characters and do my own stuff with them. And it gives you practice on taking an existing thing and starting to work with it yourself. Or you can create your own, your very own. Luke Skywalker came from the mind of George Lucas. He started as a blank piece of paper, and then you had Luke Skywalker. And same thing for Darth Vader and Princess Leia and these iconic characters that we all know about and who feel like real full people. Shanna asks, how old do you have to be to enter NaNoWriMo? Any age. They have versions of the contest for grown-ups, but they have a whole thing called the Young Writers Project that's specifically for high schoolers, middle schoolers, younger, where you don't have to write a 50,000 word novel, which is the challenge for adults. You can set your own word count. I've seen people do 30,000, 20,000, 5,000. My own daughter did a 5,000 word story one year. Okay, so we're gonna start out with some basics for this character. And I hope that you're all following along at home, and go ahead and start taking your answers and throw them into the Q&A section here. And we are going to build a character together. This might be a really random character with a lot of stuff that doesn't seem to fit. That's okay. We're gonna go fast. So their name, age, height, eye color, physical appearance. This is very basic stuff about a character, but let's start basic and then start to get a little bit more complicated. Okay, so Gerard is asking, I think about NaNoWriMo, how many words minimum does your story have to be? Anytime I've done it, I've aimed for 50,000. 4 times I've made that target. Sometimes I've come close. Last year I got to 25,001 and then I was just done. I was done. I'm like, fine, I'm not going to go further than that this year. But still, I was very happy with the 25,000 that I wrote. Okay, so Ian suggested the name Alex for our character. So let me start a document over here. Name Alex. Okay, good. Oh, we have some other names coming in here. Lily and Alina. Maybe Alex Lily. Okay. Excellent. And age, height, eye color. Let's start to write these down as well. Age, eye color. What am I forgetting? Oh, height. Yeah. How tall are they? Age, height, eye color. We're gonna start really basic and then we'll get more complicated. Age 10. Okay, Gerard suggested that. And Ava says that's an unrealistic name. Yeah, it might be. Alex, Lily. Maybe Lily is their middle name. She's a girl. Her name is Alex. Her middle name is Lily. She likes to be called Alex Lily. Okay, cool. Again, we are totally making this up. So it can be whatever we want. 4 feet and 3 inches tall. Okay. And so that was Gerard's suggestion, and Ava suggests blue eyes. Okay. Basic character here. Great. Oh, so many people, so many suggestions. I love all of this. Okay. All right. Someone elaborated a dark blue eyes. Let's go with that. That sounds like something that could be kind of mysterious. If you know, she stared with her dark blue eyes. That sounds pretty interesting there. Okay. So basic stuff here. Let's start to get a little bit more specific about some things. Strange or unique physical attributes. What is there about this person that is unique to them? Strange. I'm not even going to put strange. I'm going to put unique, because strange implies that there's something wrong with it. I'm not going to say that. Unique physical attributes. If someone said that my hair was strange, I'd be like, hey. But if someone said that my hair was unique, you know, you can pick me out in a crowd for my hair, even if you don't know me very well. Okay, so unique physical attributes. Let's get something about how she looks. All right, so already we're getting some other things. Can see the future. All right, so that's not a physical thing, but that's something about them. Can see the future. All right, so all of a sudden she has superpowers. This is good. She loves sports games. That's Gerard's contribution there. You could do stuff with that. If you love sports and you can see the future, that really gives you some opportunities. Maybe she's a really, really good sports player because, you know, she's playing volleyball and she knows where the other team is going to hit it every single time before they hit it. So she can always be in the right position to get the ball. That would be cool. Lives in Florida. Okay. I lived in Florida for 3 years. Being able to see the future would have been very handy so I could know, is that hurricane actually going to hit us or is it going to go somewhere else? That's real. All right, let me pop back to this questionnaire real quick. Okay, so let's concentrate for a moment on strange or unique physical attributes. Let me look for answers in that. They have a rainbow stripe across their face. Okay, thank you, Katya. Has a rainbow stripe across their face. Cool. Let's see, long dark hair. Good. That is from N. Thank you. Good. Oh, Ananya with a with a bit more specifics on the physical appearance. Okay, luscious brown curls hanging down to her shoulders. So I think we're going to have to combine some stuff here. So let's go with the long dark hair instead of the luscious brown curls. Just we're going to borrow something from everyone, hopefully. Freckles, a long earring on her left ear, rosy lips, and a unique sense of style. Okay, I'm starting to get a feeling for who this person could be. All right. Loves sports clothing, N says. Hey, I lived in Florida. Sports clothing is more comfortable than a button-up shirt. I can tell you that much, especially in summer. And if she loves sports and loves sports clothing, that would make sense. Okay, good. Has a scar on their arm. Ian, there's an interesting story. Has a scar on her arm. Where's that scar from? How did it get there? How long has she had it? How big is it? Is it like a long, Is a long one, like she got scratched by a bear, or was she burned in fire as she like saved a family of kittens from a forest fire? So many different directions that story could go. Okay, so let me pop back here. Favorite style of clothing or outfit? Sports. Where does he or she live and what is it like there? Florida. Cool. Defining gestures or movements. For example, curling his or her lips when he or she speaks, always keeping his or her eyes on the ground, etc. This is a part of writing a character that I tend to figure out before most other parts of the character. For me, it's less about telling the story about the character and more about keeping the character straight in my own mind. If I'm working with a bunch of characters that I'm just making up, I confuse them. I'm like, wait, did I send Sally into the building or did I send Tammy into the building? Okay, well, if I say that, you know, like the character that sneezes a lot went into the building, and the character that, you know, likes to scratch her ear a lot stayed outside. Cool, that's Sally and Tammy, and I can, it for me, it starts as just a trick to keep them separate from each other, but then you can use that to tell a bit more about the person or to make them a little bit more unique in your mind and for your readers. All right, catching up on all these comments here. Ava mentions if you were burned in fire, you wouldn't get one scar. That's true. That's true. Unless it was like one specific, she reached, I don't know. No, I think you're right. That gets kind of complicated. She always touches her hands. N suggested that. Always touching her hands. We could use that. So she's always like this. There's a character I know of who is constantly doing this. She'll kind of fiddle with her forefinger when she's nervous. And they never point that out to you, but you begin to notice it. And someone asks her a question, hey, where were you last night? Well, you already know she's nervous and maybe, you know, she did something she wasn't supposed to, or she's like, you know, oh, I snuck out of my room to get candy from the kitchen in the middle of the night. All right, so always touches her hands. Okay, good. Something I noticed about Mary Poppins, a character that I'm very familiar with, and I hope a lot of you are, but she sniffs a lot. She's always sniffing, and they don't show it in the movies so much, but in the books, it constantly describes her as sniffing. So I started coming up with my own reasons for why does she sniff so much? Does she have allergies? Is she like allergic to like an animal that the family owns or something like that? You could take something and create a more interesting piece of the character around that. Katie suggests that she has a limp. Okay, so maybe the scar and the limp are connected. Maybe they both came from the same thing. Ed suggests she is allergic to failure. I really like that. And actually that's a great description of Mary Poppins right there. She does not like being wrong. She does not like failing. Good job. I really like that. Okay, let's pop back to the questionnaire here. Next, what is their job? We're going to stick to that for a moment. All right, so Alex Lilly, who prefers to be called both of those names, is 10. And job, does she have a job? Let's see. I wonder, does Alex Lilly have a job as a 10-year-old, or does she not yet? Walking dogs. Okay, there's Ava suggesting that. Great. Good. So here we have a 10-year-old who has a job. I like that. So what are other people's opinions of this character? What do they like about this character? What do they dislike about this character? This is another element that I notice very quickly in a story that I'm reading or a TV show that I'm watching, movie that I'm watching, all these different forms of writing, is the author can use other people's opinions about the character to help inform you about what you should think, right? You have Luke Skywalker at the beginning of Star Wars, and his uncle is kind of like, oh, him, he's, you know, he just wants to go off and play with his friends, but I need him to work here on the farm. So pretty much right away, because you haven't been told anything else, is you start to kind of agree with the uncle, maybe, or maybe you disagree with the uncle, but at least you know, like, this is the impression that Luke has given to his uncle. This is the effect that he's created on other people. No matter who you are, no matter what you do, other people think something about you. Is it positive or negative? Or is it a combination? Or do they think very little, do they think nothing of you at all after they meet you, which would be another character trait. You know, ooh, he has a superpower. No one can remember him, so he's the perfect spy or something like that. Okay, so Lydia suggests to protect the kingdom of NaNoWriMo, which is always under attack. Okay. Ananya suggests that she's a young singer. Gerard says she helps her dad with his pastries. Good. These are all great suggestions. I'm going to just take one or two, but all of these could be completely valid. We could change this out. Good. So what do other people think of her? So Gerard says, she might be bossy, but she always stays kind and nice. That's a great combination of characteristics. Bossy sounds bad, but a natural leader, being a natural leader, someone who is comfortable with taking charge of a situation, someone who's comfortable with saying, okay, this is what we need to do. That's a good thing. So if you're taking the lead and being a leader, but you're kind and you're nice to people and people are inspired to work with you, that would be great. So I'm going to change bossy to likes to lead. Great. And always kind and nice. Okay, good. April says, I don't like this character that we made at all. That's okay. Maybe we can use this character as the antagonist, the bad guy, in a story that we're writing for another character. Like, oh, there's this person at school. Her name is Alex Lilly, and she's always trying to take charge of all the class activities. She's always nice, but I never get to contribute at all. Or maybe Alex Lilly has some things to learn. Again, you could take these exact same questions. We can make a billion different characters with the same model here. All right. Yes, we are almost out of time today. So this is just a, oh wait, that's out of time. Okay, we started at 1:15. We're going to 2 o'clock. We have 15 more minutes. Excellent. I'm going to pop into the next thing here. We're going to start to add some more deeper parts to this. And we're not going to go over all these right now. I'm not going to write all these for Alex Lilly here. But you could look at what are some hobbies or interests that your character has. Luke Skywalker loves to fly. That's a hobby or an interest of his. You have Harry Potter. Quidditch very quickly becomes a hobby of his. You have Hermione Granger from the Harry Potter universe, who she loves to study. Her hobby is studying. Her interest is studying. Her special skill is studying. Her special ability is studying. that's just kind of who she is, and that's her character. You could have Tony Stark, Iron Man. His hobby or interest is developing new technology, and that happens to align very well with what makes him a superhero. But that's what he does. He loves to tinker. Special skills or abilities. Sometimes those special skills don't line up with their hobbies. You know, he's a really good pilot. That's his, or he loves flying. He's a pilot. That's his hobby and his interest. But he's not very good at it. He just likes to fly, but he's a great swimmer. So that's his special skill. He's really good at swimming, but he wants to fly. There you have some conflict. You have someone, you know, he wants to become a pilot and his parents are like, no, you should become a competitive swimmer. You could go to the Olympics and win medals. And he's like, I don't want to. I want to fly. And they're like, but you have no depth perception. Your eyesight is not good. You can't tell if something's 5 meters or 50 meters away from you. You're not a good pilot. Okay. Oops. There we go. Katie suggests that she has an innate sense of time. Just a natural sense to her own self of time and how much time has passed. Maybe she can say to the second how long something was, even if she was counting for 10 minutes. Okay, so insecurities. We're not all perfect, and no one is more aware of that than our own selves, unfortunately. The good news is that whatever insecurities you feel, whatever there is about yourself that you don't think is perfect, I'm going to bet money that other people don't share that same opinion. You know, you could think, oh, I'm not funny. But then you say something and someone laughs and like, oh, he's actually, he's kind of funny. I like his jokes. Or I'm not very good at volleyball. I've been practicing a lot of volleyball lately, so the example keeps coming up. I'm not very good at volleyball, but other people don't share that same opinion. Like, hey, you know, he's a competitor. He goes out there and he works hard, even if he can't hit very hard, but he's not going to mess up super bad. So he's a great teammate. What insecurities does Alex Lilly have? Or, you know, maybe you at home are creating other characters as we go here. Maybe she has a really, maybe she's insecure about this rainbow stripe across her face or the scar on her arm. She always wears long sleeves, even in the middle of Florida summer, because she doesn't want people to see her scar, which she got when she was rescuing kittens from fire or whatever. She might be really insecure about that, but someone else might not care at all. Like, hey, that's a really cool story. You're a brave person and you've shown that. She thinks her art is bad, but it is good. Ian, you have just hit the nail on the head for so many of us on so many things. I have been guilty about thinking my art is bad when it was not bad. I don't know if it was good. Other people said it might have been sometimes, but at least it wasn't as bad as I thought. If you have all been writing for a while, I challenge you, go back in time, find a story that you wrote some time ago and read it with fresh eyes. And some of it's going to be just as bad as you thought it was. I read some of my old stuff and I'm like, oh man, whoo, I didn't know what I was doing. Or that was a rough night of writing. But more often than not, you're going to think, oh, that's not bad. Hey, I'm pretty good. Okay, that works. Okay. I'm going to pop back to this character survey if I can. Here we go. All right, quirks and eccentricities. Those words are things that are unique to this person that are kind of funny, or maybe a little bit weird or interesting, something that is kind of wild or crazy or unpredictable or special to them. You know, something about my brother, we'll use him as a real character, is he was really good at picking up a new sport. We went golfing for the first time. Our dad took us golfing. And I took some time to learn. My brother, right away, he was pretty good, and he got better real quick, way better than me. So that's kind of a quirk about him. And that's a trait that I have used for characters as I'm writing stories. I've used this little ingredient from my brother to make this character, Jimmy, more interesting or unique. What is their temperament? Are they like, how's their temper? Are they really chill? Does it take a lot to get them riled up? Or are they really easily angered, or somewhere in the middle? Someone already suggested for Alex Lilly here that she's always nice. Let's see, what would we say? Always kind and nice. That's her temperament. I know people like that. Things about their appearance that they would most like to change. We're not going to be writing these down here. I just kind of wanted to give you some more ideas. And it's not that you have to answer all of these for every character that you create. You don't. But if you're like me, sometimes you find yourself out of ideas on how to make a character interesting or unique, or to set them apart from others. When you find yourself blocked, you can come to this list. You can find, go back here, the NaNoWriMo character questionnaire, and just start going through it and start answering these questions for yourself, either in your own mind or write them on paper, and to start to figure out who this character is. She has been presented with a new challenge. She needs to plan an activity for her school, and she doesn't know what to do, and you don't know how to help her do what she needs to do in the story. Well, maybe as we go on here, we might be interested in what are her favorite bands or songs or types of music, what are her favorite movies and TV shows and books. These can be kind of shallow. Like, I am more than a Star Wars fan. I'm more than just a kid that grew up reading Harry Potter books. But it does kind of dictate some of my actions. If you were writing me as a character, you're like, what would James say in this situation where he's being, asked to think up of examples of characters off the top of his head? It's a good guess. You're like, all right, so this character, James, he really likes Star Wars, so he's going to use Star Wars examples in his online classes. That's accurate, obviously. Favorite sports teams, fine. That's not a super important part of the character in most stories, but it could help make that character a little bit more interesting and unique. Like, man, this guy really likes the New York Yankees. No. He really, really likes them. It's kind of crazy. Every single piece of clothing that he has is a New York Yankees cap or shirt or shorts or, wristwatch. Everything is Yankees. And his family moves to Boston, where they're all Red Sox fans there and they hate Yankees fans. Now you've got some interesting conflict. And worse, he has to go to school like this and try to make friends. Okay, now we have a character. There's a kind of silly, mostly unimportant part about them that just became really important. Favorite bands or songs or types of music, or least favorite. Like, this person does not like country music, and they just moved to Texas. Okay, we've got some stuff to figure out. I'm going to go back again really quick. Where did I skip from? Speaking style. Fast, talkative, like me. Monotone, not like me. Monotone is where you speak and your voice doesn't change very much up or down, and kind of like a boring teacher, professor person. That's monotone. I don't like that. I might give that trait to a character that I'm trying to make annoying. Pet peeves. What are some things that really bug them? For me, when someone has, when they misspell the word there, there's 3 different ways to spell there. And if you misspell there, that's going to bug me more than it should. There. All right. If you use the wrong version of there, that's going to bug me. Or Hermione Granger in Harry Potter. One of the things that really bugged her was people not following the rules, not doing what the teacher said. It really, really bugged her. So that's fine. And then the last piece on that slide, what is their fondest memory? That can be really interesting, you know, especially if your character's in a really tough spot. You know, they're surrounded by bad guys and the chances are looking pretty bad. They're not sure if they're going to make it, but they think back to, you know, near the end of Lord of the Rings, right at the very end, and it's really tough, but they're like, oh, I remember what strawberries taste like. I remember springtime back home and the festivals and the food and my friends, and there's a fond memory there, and they can use that to motivate themselves to do what they need to do to survive. All right, I'm going to spend the last few minutes going through the different ideas that everyone was saying in the Q&A section, and as I was just talking and talking, talking and talking. We'll pop out of here real quick. So Gerard suggests that she likes to throw a tantrum for people not doing what she wants. That would be interesting. Yeah. N says she always shouts when she gets the ball in the hoop. That would be really funny. Every time, if she's playing basketball and every time she scores, she goes, whoop, or shouts or something like that. Ananya suggests starts blinking rapidly when confused. I had a friend who did exactly that. Exactly what you're saying. You could tell the moment she got confused. Oh, I like that. I might use that bit. Thank you very much, Ananya. All right. She might, so Gerard says she might want to help. She might want a lot of people to do what she wants, but she's the most helpful in the city of Orlando, Florida. Okay, like there's something about her. It's just, man, Orlando is a special place for her, and it really works for her there. Or the source of her superpowers is in Orlando, Florida, and the farther away from Orlando, the weaker her superpowers. That would be interesting. Oh, Shanna says, I have a lot of things written out. If my parents let me sign up for the NaNoWriMo, I will use these ideas. Great. And you don't even have to do anything official. You don't need to sign up on any website or anything like that, although it can be helpful. The challenge is for yourself. It's you having a personal goal. I'm going to write. So in the month of November, I'm going to write a story. All right. Ananya says, One Direction and BTS as favorite bands. Good. All right. I love it. Aubrey says, hot dog. I assume she really likes hot dogs. That could be an important thing. N says her first ever memory was her having a scar. Ooh, her first memory. She doesn't even know how she got the scar. It's a mystery to her as well as to the reader. Oh, yeah. Great. Good. She wants a pet crocodile, so she sneaks away to get one. All right, Lydia, that's good. Maybe that's how she got the scar. We don't know. And suggests she helped her mom in the diner. Good, there we go. Milo says she always sleeps in trees everywhere. I know someone like that. Not every single night sleeping in a tree, but if I'm walking around, I find them in a hammock outside at night. I'm not surprised. April says, I raise one of my eyebrows when I'm confused. Yeah, that could be a great way of communicating to the reader or to your viewer if you're writing a script for film or television, that the character is confused. Okay, everyone. I hope that this has helped to flesh out some characters, either a character that you have in one of your stories that you want to make a little bit more realistic, or a character you don't even know where to start. Like I have a blank sheet of paper and I need a hero for my story in Orlando, Florida, or any version of this. I hope that this comes in handy. Oh, Milo says, when I mean in the tree, she sleeps in the trunk. That changes everything. All right, our character is all of a sudden a raccoon. Okay, good. So I hope that this, for all of you or some of you, helps to create characters that, let's see, you treat your characters like real people and they'll reward you by being fully developed individuals. And maybe also they'll act like a fool, always playing tricks on you and treating you badly. In either case, you've done a good job as a writer because that's your life that you've created and put into them. So your samples of writing, I know that Corey is having everyone write stuff and send it in to create as part of a bigger project. Please send us your writing. onlinelearning@delphian.org. And just send it there. We will compile it all. And I'm really excited to see what everyone does write. I want to read everything that you send in. If you haven't been to heronbooks.com recently, go check it out. There's some really, really great books in there on just about every academic topic. Two that I found just about writing just today that I could highly recommend are Lessons in Language, Short Story, Plot, Characterization, and Setting, and Understanding Imaginative Writing. Those are both under $20. Lessons in Language is just $12. And you can really use the material in there to further develop yourself as a writer. Thank you so much for attending. We'll see you tomorrow for the online classes then.